What's in a name that which we call a labia by any other name would smell as sweet? Today we'll be talking about the labia. Have you seen your labia? Let's get right into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to Wands and Rabbits with me, Kath.
And Gail, and I am excited to be here today and talk about our body parts with Kat.
Yes, the special bits of body part, which is the labia. All right, Gail, how do you feel about this? I know you said you're excited. How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm very ready to be educated and learn from you because, like I always say, you always have all the tea, all the important tea. So I'm very excited about it. I'm personally hoping to pick up some points here about my labia and also what we are going to impart on our viewers, our audience, and our listeners, especially people who have labias, and yeah, just empower them to love their labias irrespective of the size, the shape, and the texture.
I mean, you have also taught me quite a bit of things as well. In the previous episode, we were talking about kinks and fetishes, and I feel like I learned a lot about that. So, yeah, we're just exchanging a lot of kinky, a lot of wands and rabbity kind of knowledge at this point. All right, now let's start off by talking about the first time that we saw our labia separately, not together. So what's the first time? What was the first time that you saw your labia? Do you remember anything
the,
about that?
the fact that you had to act separately, not together.
No, I mean,
But
okay, I have a
anyway.
little story. So
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a documentary a while back, like years ago, called "She's Beautiful When She's Angry," which is about the second wave feminist movement. And one of the things that feminists and that women were doing in parts of sexual liberation, because at the time women were so sexually oppressed and repressed. So what they did was they went to someone's basement together, and at that point they had never seen their vulva, their genitals before, so they went into the basement, and in the act of defiance and reclaiming their sexuality, they stripped down and then they started inspecting each other's labia and vulva. That was their act of rebellion against the patriarchy. So yes, I
Oh.
had to add that little bit about like separately. We didn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think I remember a particular moment. I don't remember the first time I saw my labia. Maybe I remember the first time touching it, but I don't have a recollection of the first time I actually took a look. I just know there's been like a lot of times, but I can't pinpoint the exact moment. Do you?
When was the
Can
first
you
time
do
that you
you, do you
touched your
remember yours?
labia?
The first time I touched my labia, wow, you know what? That's crazy. Like intentionally. I was
Mm-hmm.
actually in my teens. I think I was 18, 19.
Wow,
And yeah,
really?
that was too old to start exploring my body, honestly.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
yeah, that was the first time.
I mean, it's never too late to learn about your body, I believe.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
my
that's true.
first time. I think I was pretty young when that happened. I remember probably being around 9 or 10, pretty young at the time. And I got curious about my body, about my genitals. And I think it also stemmed a little bit from paranoia that things were not going well. Like, oh, I feel kind of I didn't feel wet at the time. I was too young, but you know what I mean? Like I was curious about all of that. So I started when I was home because I spent a lot of time at home. Um, I was home and I got curious, so I I brought a hand mirror and then I put it down there and I was inspecting it. I was like separating the I was just separating the labia majora and the labia minora, just looking at all of that, and also kind of freaking out a little bit because at that point I didn't understand what I was looking at. And then you know how even there's like discharge and all that going at a little bit TMI, but you know what I mean? Like it's not completely clean, like there's nothing going on. And then I got really curious. I like brought tissue to wipe it and I was wondering what is all of this? What's happening? And I kind of wish that at the time I had known about my body enough to know what is normal and that all of this process is okay, that it's not supposed to look like your arm, like your clean arm and all of that, you know. So yeah, that was my first time.
That's very insightful. As young as you were, the fact that you were even in a mind space to want to. I did not. I don't know. I think I just grew up surrounded by people who never spoke about their body parts, like in any way at all. So I had very little curiosity. So even though before all that I had started reading erotica and all that, I still hadn't really started exploring like my body and wanting to know. Even when I got my period, I just know like I'm getting my period, but like in my head, that's it. I don't think I was a very curious person as a child. I'm like, whatever. Whatever. With a lot of things. So yeah, that's probably why I never explored.
But you did explore later on, and that's all that matters,
yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly.
True.
All right. So the next point that I want to go into is how, because okay, I want to add a little bit, going back a little bit, sorry, about how a lot of girls and a lot of women are so shamed by society into thinking that their genitals are dirty, that their vulva, that their labia are dirty or not pretty, or all sorts of negative things, to the point where
Yeah.
a lot of women have not, even to an older age, they have not touched or seen their labia, not because they were not curious, but because they feel like doing it is a shameful or immoral act, because only loose women, only women who are provocative or women who are risque would do something like that. I remember doing a workshop a couple of years back where I was the trainer, facilitator, and it was about sexual reproductive health. So I decided to talk about genitals, to talk about vulva, to talk about vagina, and talk about male reproductive organs versus female. So what I did was I printed out a handout of the anatomy, the drawing of the anatomy of male anatomy and female anatomy, and then I handed out to them, all female participants, age from like young adult to, there was this one participant who was pregnant with her second child. And then what happened was I handed out the drawing to them, and then I asked them to name the body parts. And they came back to me and they said that it was easier to name the male body parts than to name the female body parts, because that's how we've been conditioned in society, to know about men, to study about men, but not to study about women. And then I started going through all the anatomy, the drawing, and then I talked about the labia minora, labia majora, the clitoris, the urethra, all of that. And they were so shocked by it, to the point where the woman who was pregnant second time, she said that she didn't know that you give birth from the vagina, from the vaginal hole. She thought that you give birth from the urethra. And she was wondering, why is that? She was wondering the entire time, but she never asked anyone about it. She didn't know we have 3 holes, Gail. She did not know that, and this woman has given birth before. So
I think it also speaks to how like women and everything about the female gender is deprioritized, because the world literally revolves around men and what works for them. It's crazy. Like, it's sad, but you can't even blame her for not knowing like all these things, because it's not, when there's barely any sex education, and when women are sort of like put into a box about learning about themselves, that's what we'll get, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. And the insecurity that society has placed upon women on their genitals, on their labia, it is also part of the beauty standard as well. So women are taught to be insecure about every single part of our body, and then
Yeah.
they keep inventing new things for us to be insecure about because that's how they make money, right? Create a problem and then sell a product, create a non-existing problem, and then you create a product claiming that this will help your non-existing problem.
The
So
solution. Yeah.
exactly. So from our hair not being pretty enough, from our face, from our body, to like the dimple at the bottom of our back for some reason, and then all the way down to our vulva and our labia. They make us feel so insecure about that, and I blame the porn industry for contributing to so much of that insecurity.
Yeah, yeah, same. So I always say, like, beauty standards don't sell confidence, it sells shame.
Yeah,
Because
and products.
if yeah, if you're confident in your skin, if you're confident with like your natural body, with the things you have, then obviously you're not going to purchase these products that they're coming up with problems for you to get them for. They just want you to sit with your shame, because if there's no labiaplasty, like, why will you even think that there's something wrong with your labia, so now you need to go change it? If
Yeah.
it did not exist, you won't even have the thought that, okay, this is weird and I need to go fix it. Meanwhile, it's totally normal. However it is, whatever form is coming in, it's totally okay. So yeah, I have a beef with beauty standards, because like, from yeah, being skinny being like the it thing, to being thick being the it thing, then now you need to be slim thick, and now people want to look the same way. There's barely any uniqueness. Like, babes, women, they are lovely in whatever shape, whatever size, whatever form we come in, and so is our labia. Okay.
So I have two things to add to that. One, there was this song by Jax, I think that's her name. She's a pretty famous TikToker, and then later on she moved to become a singer-songwriter. The song is called Victoria's Secret, where she goes, "I know Victoria's Secret. She's an old man living in Ohio, making money off of girls like me, making money off of girls' insecurity. That is Victoria's Secret." And it's so true, because it all boils down to capitalism. Every time that we as women feel insecure about our body, someone out there, mostly men, shareholders, are making money off of that. They
Oh,
manufacture the
a
problem.
lot.
Yeah, exactly. And the second part is, it so it comes together to the point where, because women are told to not look at our labia or our vulva, to not explore, and the only way that we are able to do that is through pornography. Then that pornography can shape what kind of beauty standard, what kind of ideal we're looking at, because they will choose women with certain type of labia, and they mostly look the same. They look clean cut, they look folded, they're like delicate, they look unreal, right? Because, okay, I don't want to say
Yeah,
unreal, because all labias are real, but they don't represent the majority of what
the majority.
labias look like.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they hold that kind of standard where men look at it, and then men who are porn addicts, they would look at that and they think, I want my woman to look like that. I want her labia to look like that, because their brain is so rotten by pornography that that's all that they can think about. And then women get that kind of pressure from their partner saying that, no, I don't like your vulva, I don't like your labia, because you don't look like this stranger in a porn video that I keep watching for like 10 hours a day. So you have to go get plastic surgery to look like that, you know.
Uh, yeah. So it's just society, I don't know, making women feel some sort of shame about their natural bodies. Shame that is not supposed to be for us. Shame that shouldn't exist in the first place. Because all these pornographic movies and magazines and things, all they are showing is labias that are neat, that are tagged. They're just, they look perfect.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And then if you do explore and look in the mirror, yours doesn't look so perfect. And now you start wondering, maybe there's something wrong with me. But there's not. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just internalized shame that pushes people to go get labiaplasty. And a lot of times, their partners with unrealistic expectations, like you just mentioned, which, yeah, more women also need to learn to center themselves. I know that this is very difficult for like some people, because there are still a lot of people out there, a lot of women out there who say, oh, I support women's rights, but I'm not a feminist. I'm like, okay,
That's what it literally means. But
right. But I think just even owning, I feel like the moment you start telling yourself I'm a feminist, that, I don't know, you get more radicalized. It's just, it's a feeling. It becomes a way of living. You start putting yourself first. You start putting the women around you first. And soon it becomes a lifestyle. And when you start putting yourself first, it becomes very difficult for men to come to you and tell you what to do and tell you what to accept about your body. You're able to stand in front of the mirror and say, this is me. This is the body I've got. This is the labia I've got. This is my vulva. It's all I have. And I'm going to love it irrespective of what the media is putting out there and what a man who I'm offering my body up
to. Just a guy.
Just a guy.
He's just Ken. We're Barbie, okay? He's just
Ken.
We're
Barbies.
Yeah.
We are Barbies. And he's just Ken. How dare he tell you that your labia is not, I don't know, good enough?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like if a woman decides to give access to her body to a man, he should be very grateful to even be allowed to be in her presence, you know. He should just be very grateful, and he's not supposed to sit there and nag her or say that, oh, I don't like your body. Like, man, you need to appreciate that you are being given this honor to just breathe in the same air as this woman. Come on, right?
Period.
So, moving back a little bit to labiaplasty. For those who have never heard about labiaplasty, it's a sort of cosmetic procedure where a woman would have her labia majora, and in some cases labia minora, cut off. Essentially, that's what it is. Cut off in order to make it look tucked, make it look tight, make it look neat and all of that. Because labias, they come in all shapes and sizes. And some labia, for some people, their labia minora is bigger, or their labia majora is bigger. And then sometimes it doesn't look like an innie like that. Sometimes like the labia can spill out a little bit, and they would want that to be cut off because they feel like that is like flappy, quote unquote, which I think it's a ridiculous thing to say, but that's what some people consider. And then they go get that the labiaplasty, that surgery, in order to essentially it boils down to pleasing their partner, because I don't think if women were to exist, or people with vulvas were to exist in a vacuum, we're not gonna be like,
Yeah.
I don't like my vulva, I don't like my labia, let me go get surgery for funsies, unless we're talking about gender affirming care, gender affirming surgery,
Yeah.
and that's a different case. Yeah.
I I totally agree with you. I think for like a lot of reasons, and for a lot of people who go for it, they're mostly driven by insecurity because they don't
Mm-hmm.
think their their labia looks nice enough, peer pressure,
Mm-hmm.
being pressured by their partner, and just the unrealistic idea that their vulva should look a certain way. It should not. And unfortunately, we live in a world where women are, I don't know, pushed to be desirable and not comfortable. Like every single time you are looking for a way that when you step out of the house, when a man is perceiving you, that they think, oh my god, I want her. But are you comfortable with yourself? Like, you're getting all these procedures, you're making yourself look a certain way. When it's just you, how do you feel? When you're not getting like the praises from men, because a lot of times these changes are being made for men. I know that some women say, oh, I did it for me, and that's great. I hope you really did it for you. If you did it for
Mm-hmm.
you, great. I'm all here for it. But if you are doing it because society has made you feel like getting that surgery is the only way that you'll be desirable, is the only way that you'll be normal, then you really
Mm-hmm.
need to rethink. Are you
Mm-hmm.
living life for yourself, or are you living life for the world? And for men,
So someone said in a video that kind of changed my perspective on things. She said male validation is the cheapest currency there is, because men will find anything attractive, men will fuck anything, including
even
a coconut,
animals.
including some inanimate object, including a sock, including animals. So, babe, if you are chasing male validation, don't, because it is the cheapest currency that there is. It's not worth it.
At
Yeah.
all. At all. Decenter these men, because honestly, ah,
It's really
they're
true.
just scared.
Yeah, exactly. They're just Ken. We're Barbies. Come on.
They're Barbies, babes.
All right. So I want to bring back a point a little bit to what you were talking about earlier about society shaming women about their bodies, about their labia, as a way to control women, right? Because
Yeah.
when you bring down a woman's self-confidence, then it's easier for her to settle. It's easier for her to be controlled, because when you feel confident in your body, when you feel confident in you, who you are, then you're not gonna allow someone else or society to tell you that you're worth any less, that you should settle
Yeah.
for anything that you don't deserve, because you know that you deserve so much more, because you have the confidence. You're not gonna go get labiaplasty just because some guy tells you to. You would divorce
Oh my
him,
god.
right? You would just be like, get yourself out of here. Come on, go find
Pack
other
your
labia.
bags.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, what other reasons do you think why society tries to shame women for knowing our body?
I don't know, I think it just boils down to control, honestly. Since like time immemorial, women have been controlled by societal standards, by gender norms, and knowledge is power. I think on our first episode about female sexual pleasure, we spoke about this, that when women know their body, they are able to own their pleasure. If you own your pleasure, if you know your body, you own your pleasure. And if you own your pleasure, you're probably not going to be so dependent on the man. And the system cannot handle that. Women not being dependent of men. the system that have been put in place thrives on women being controlled by women. So if you have all this knowledge about your body, you'll be able to set boundaries, because if you know for sure that women are supposed to be unique, so labias come in different forms, it comes in different shapes, comes in different sizes, comes in different texture. If a man comes to you and tells you they don't like your labia, obviously you're not going to give in to them. So now you have power. You're able to set boundaries. You're able to spot when a man is manipulating you, is lying to you, and is just looking to, I don't know, treat you as an object instead of treating you as a person. So you knowing your body goes against the system. That's why they don't even encourage it. Even in sex ed, they are not even teaching you like in depth about your body as a woman. So what you shared before, that these women could identify the parts of the penis, but they could not identify the parts of the vulva. That's what society actually thrives on. Just controlling women and taking our power away from us.
Yeah, exactly. I think you put it perfectly. And there's a lot of power in knowing your body, in reclaiming your body, because I think it boils down to a bunch of things. For example, in connection to female pleasure, what happens when we understand our body? What happens when we understand, when we explore our body? We are able to take pleasure from it. We are able to masturbate. We're able to do like gain self pleasure without the need of a man, right? And
Yeah.
men don't
Yeah.
want that to happen, because when women know that we can get pleasure without having a male partner, then it renders them obsolete, right? So when it renders them obsolete, they freak out, because what is their place in society anymore? How are they gonna go have sex with women, pressure women to have sex, when women know that we don't need them to have sex to actually feel pleasure, to orgasm and all of that? So that's one layer of it. And then the second layer is going even deeper with that. For example, when a man, and this has happened in real life, I've heard men say this in real life, they would say that, oh, I need to go find someone else, I need to cheat on you because your labor is not pretty enough, because you don't look enticing enough, because I'm not turned on by how you look. And then,
Coming from people who barely wash their balls.
right? And because they say that, some women internalize it and they feel like it's my fault that he's cheating on me, when the cheater is completely at fault. Have you ever seen any advertisements or any procedure, on cosmetic procedure, on the scrotum? They look like that. Have you seen what a scrotum looks like? And yet no one is advertising for plastic surgery for balls. Penises are not pretty. Scrotums are not pretty. So why is there no plastic surgery for that? Because we don't center, like, the world doesn't run on the female gaze, apparently. The world runs on the male gaze. So
Male
yeah.
gaze, yeah. How it's always how women are being perceived by men, and that's just it. That's just where it ends. So women are going to all these extents to please men who do like the bare minimum. Actually, it's crazy. Again, we are Barbies, babes. Like, even look at our simple maintenance, like the things we put into it to like feel great, and then like look at men and you're like, but they still need you to go the extra mile to make them comfortable, so that you can be their arm candy, the perfect arm candy. And the moment you slip up, the moment one thing doesn't go their way, they are off onto the next shiny thing. It's crazy. So why do you even want to be making these drastic decisions for people like that? So fickle,
Yeah.
honestly.
And then men would say, oh, that's because men are visual creatures. Well, if you are visual creatures, why do you look like that? Why do you look like that if you're a visual creature? Do you look in the mirror? Because if you're a visual creature, you would not be looking like that, you know? Anyway. All right. So, Oh, we're gonna get a lot of flack for this. All right, so last point. How can women and girls get to know their bodies better? Let's trade tips. You go first.
Yeah, so I'm just going to say that you need to ditch the unrealistic representation that the media puts out. Stop comparing your body with the bodies of the people you are seeing when you watch porn, when you are looking at, magazines like Playboy and all those. I mean, yeah, maybe people really have those kind of bodies, they have those kind of vulvas, but yours also exists. Like, you could probably find, I don't know, 500 women with the same vulva as you. Just, we are supposed to be unique as human beings, as women. That's why you don't see the same boob size on every woman. You don't see the same arm size on every woman. Our lips are different. We have different forms to us. And it's unique. You are meant to be unique. You are not meant to look like everybody. So now that you want to change yourself to become like everybody, then it becomes problematic. So you need to start feeding yourself with correct representation of a woman's bodies. There are so many reproductive health animators and graphic designers. There are artists. When you go on Instagram, you find so many feminist artists. They draw women as women should be, and not how society wants women to look like. Those are your correct representation. These are the places that you should be going to boost your ego, to boost your confidence up, not porn or anything like that. And also, I don't know, we should normalize talking about our bodies, especially with our friends, like with other women, because there's no shame in it. There's literally no shame in it. The shame comes from us feeling like we can't talk about it. It's normal. You have it. She has it. It's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with it. So, yeah, Kat, you can also share your thoughts now.
I would say the second step after what you just mentioned would be to decenter men. Understand that we don't exist to please men. Understand that our world does not revolve around men. Men are not the center of our universe.
Yes.
It's 2025. We can't exist without men. So, decenter men in our lives and understand that we exist independently, that our body is for our use, our body is for our pleasure. We are more than just an object to please men. So, whatever you look like, it's for you. Don't try to mold yourself into some shape just to keep a man, just to please a man. That's not gonna work. Again, male validation is the cheapest currency that you can get. Don't try to chase that. And once you get through all that process, learn about your body by the first step is finding a mirror and go lie down or stand up or put it down, whichever position is comfortable for you. Look at it. Know what you look like, because I think it's so absurd that we know what our hands look like, we know what our face looks like, but we do not know what our vulva looks like, what our labia looks like. Yeah, and it's there with us all the time. How come that part is such a forbidden part of our body that we don't even know what it looks like? So reclaim that, reclaim your power, and reclaim your bodily autonomy by looking at it, by acknowledging it, by understanding it, and ultimately by loving it. Any other tips?
That's it. You covered the rest very well. And just because you mentioned decentering men, if you don't know how to decenter men, we are going to do a special episode on that, and so you should definitely turn on our notifications so that you can watch that particular one, because we are going to give you all the details in that. My final words is that your vulva is not supposed to look a certain way. Your labia is not supposed to look a certain way. It's supposed to look how it looks. It's supposed to look like how it just is. Whether it's wrinkly, whether it flaps around, whether it's too soft, whether I don't know, whatever, however you see it is how it's supposed to be. It's that way for a reason. Your body comes with it for a reason. So let's learn to love ourselves, love our bodies, love our labias, and yeah, don't give a fuck about what your male partner wants. They should go get it elsewhere. If you what you are giving to them is not what they want, again, you're Barbie. He's just Ken. Okay?
Barbie has a great day every day. Ken only has a great day when Barbie looks at him, right? That's how it should be. Um,
Yeah.
my final word would be that every time women feel insecure, every time you feel insecure, remember that someone is making money off of that. The patriarchy and capitalism, they go hand in hand. Don't let them win. Don't buy into that. Know that all of this is manufactured. The problems that we have, the beauty standard is manufactured in order to in order for someone to make profits. Don't buy into that. All right. This is the end of our episode about the labia. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow us on social media at It's Wands and Rabbits on Instagram and Wands and Rabbits podcast on TikTok. And subscribe to us on YouTube. Like Gail said, put a notification on and stay tuned to our other episodes. Oh, and you can also find us on podcast apps as well if you want to listen to us while you shower or do some chores, whatever. But yeah, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.